Book Blitz! Welcome back, everyone, to Twilight Chapter 17, The Game. And this is finally where Charlie and Edward actually meet. And actually, Charlie knows that there's stuff going on between Edward and Bella. And it's kind of handled, I think it's handled decently enough. But when you look at it in context of the next chapter, and maybe it's actually the one after that, but in the next couple of chapters, it does kind of feel rushed and I don't know, not handled as well as it could be. But it does happen, and Charlie and Edward, they kind of hit it off, they just keep it pretty charming and stuff. But not before Billy Black returns with Jacob. And Billy kind of ambushes Bella at the house a little bit, and he, in very vague terms, they have a conversation where basically Billy is saying, stay away from the Cullens because they're dangerous and they're vampires, and Bella basically says, yeah, I know, I'll be careful, thanks, bye.
Thanks.
Thanks, get out of my house. Please get out of my house. Get out of my house right now. Go away. Bye.
I felt like Bo was, in my version, was just like a pointlessly a dick. Like, I get that he, like, it's like, this is the girl I love. You can't, don't tell me who I can't love or whatever. But just like, I don't know. Like, when I watch and read media, I always like insert myself into the story as though I'm like a ghost, and like I'm like telling Bo like shit he should be doing, and I'm like, what the fuck, Bo? Like, why are you being such a dick? You know what I mean? Like, why are you being a dick to Bonnie? Like, you're dating a goddamn vampire. You're obsessed with her. You legitimately might have reason to be concerned that you don't actually love this girl, but instead are just like being like vampirism charm. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like you're just being, like, and that it's a super elaborate ploy to like eat you at the perfect time, or at least like have reason to be concerned, if only that you're just obsessed with this girl. You know what I mean? Like, that alone is enough. But anyway, but he's like a dick. Like, I would just I don't know. Yeah, I would have handled that very differently. I would have handled the whole thing very differently. But it just because mind you, in my version, it's not just that it's like my dad's friend Billy. You know what I mean? Where you can kind of be a little bit more rude. Maybe it's my southern upbringing, but like, this is like a grandma and chief of like a local tribe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, get out of here, Bonnie. Thanks for the fish fry. You know what I mean? Like
no, it's that makes so much sense though. Like, it's so weird. Like, I just,
but mind you, he's like 17. You know what I mean? Like, he digs a girl. It's like, I love her. You don't know her. Like, I love her. I guess I could see that happening. I could see like, the like indignant, how dare you tell me who I love? Sure, I guess. But anyway.
Well, anyway, Bella and Edward head off to the baseball game after Edward convinces Charlie that he's not a crazy person, and they get there, and their version of baseball, they have to play in a thunderstorm because they hit the ball so hard and so fast that it basically creates sounds of thunderclaps.
Can we consider like what the hell they're hitting it with?
I was gonna say that. Like, what are they like? These bats would be shattering.
Yeah, like, there's no indication as to what the hell these things are made out of. Like, they just have bats and they swing them. You see what I'm saying? Like, but that's like, okay, what is this bat made out of? Like, what's going on? Like, please tell me. I don't know.
Well, they're really super fast, and they're very, because they're so gracious. God,
because they're so racist. Is that what you said?
Yeah, because they're so racist.
Those vampires are so racist. I mean, they are all white.
Oh my God. Okay. So, because all the vampires are so fast, they play on a gigantic field that's way bigger than a normal baseball field. And, the game's, it's described very well. It's described, Bella is an observer. She's sitting there with Esme, who is the referee. And Bella is kind of just watching this whole thing go on, and everyone's moving super fast, and they're split into two different teams, and she's rooting for Edward's team, and it's all crazy. And then suddenly, in the middle of all the action, Alice has this weird thing pass over her, this weird sensation, this weird seizure almost, and everyone realizes, oh, she's seeing something. She's seeing the future, and she's realizing that there are more vampires on their way. There's 3 vampires on their way that are strangers to them, that are not vegetarians, I guess, not non-human eaters.
Yeah. They openly eat humans. They don't mind.
So they continue playing the game, and they're keeping a watchful lookout, and then right as these 3 new vampires arrive, the chapter comes to a close. I kind of like how this chapter works, honestly, because it really neatly ties together the end of the second act, some of the dangling plot threads, and the beginning of the climax really nicely. All in one very smooth action. You have Bella in the action of Bella going home, getting ready to go to the baseball game, and then leaving for the baseball game. You have the conflict with Billy largely not resolved, but handled for the rest of the book. You have the conflict where Charlie doesn't know that Edward and Bella are together, handled right before they leave the house. And then you have this baseball game that leads us very cleanly into the climax and just starting building out for the climax. And we have this new mystery that's introduced and these new characters introduced for the third act. I think it's a very graceful chapter. It handles all these different elements very well, brings everything together really, really well.
No, I mean, I like this chapter a lot. I think the baseball thing's interesting. It's kind of fun. I don't know. Yeah, you get to see the vampires be vampires. In this version, this is where you meet Eleanor too. Basically, Royal's there, I think, but he doesn't do anything. In my version, he's there, and he gets stared at briefly, but then he goes and plays baseball, and then Eleanor but Eleanor actually interacts with Beau and it winks at him, and so everyone's cool. You get to talk to Ernest. Ernest kind of tells his backstory about how he jumped off a cliff after his wife killed his daughter, and then he saw then Corrine came and saved him, and that was interesting. I just like the other vampires. I know I like their addition to the story because it makes it less perfect girl. She is perfect, but now you've got other people who are just like her. You know what I mean? So that
Right.
she's not this oh my god, she's the absolute coolest, better than everyone anywhere. Though she still is sort of the best one in a way. But yeah, I enjoy the seeing the characters be vampires and just chill. But I also like the fact that it ends really it's a good chapter because you're okay, shit's getting real. You're just having fun. Everyone's playing baseball and holy shit, things are going down. There's the vampires right there. You know what I mean? Oh my god, what's happening? Anyway, so
I like it too. I think it comes together really nicely. Like I said, and I like the other vampires a lot too. I think that particularly I like how they all have very distinct identities. I wouldn't say they all have personalities yet. I mean, they do, but they don't, and that they're not really fully developed very much yet. Probably the most developed of them all so far is probably Carlisle, but most of that development was off screen. I mean, as far as his character is concerned, I mean, Edward was telling us this story. But I do like that these characters are characters, that they're not just,
Yeah,
stock
like
this,
they've got
stock that,
personality.
token this, token that,
Oh my god, yeah. Like they actually have personalities. Like I don't know about you, but I don't know how Alice is in your version, but I really like Archie. Like
Oh, I
Archie's
do
like
too.
this
I like Alice a lot too.
like yeah, like in my version he's like a super bro. Like he's like just like this like kind of like snarky, kind of like just doesn't give a shit like kind of character.
Yeah.
And just like love it. Like I love it. I don't know. Like I also like I don't know. I like Ernest in my version. Like I actually don't like the idea of whatever her name is in your version. Um
Esme?
yeah, because like not because it's just like there's a lot of like
Super
like
mom?
yeah, there's a lot of Supermom characters. Like she's super compassionate and loves everyone. You see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. Like you just don't really like have those many like old man characters who like love their wives and they're dead, and then like but he loves these guys like they're his own children. You know what I mean? Like you don't have that. You just don't have that as a thing. Like
Right.
as many stories, and so I actually like that. I also like I don't know. I feel like in an unintentional way, I like actually how like Kareen's like the like super doctor, who's like just. I like how these characters, like they seem more dynamic in this, at least in certain aspects of certain characters in this book series, seem more dynamic when they've been gender bent because they don't match that stereotype. Because in Twilight, they are the stereotype. Like Edward is the stereotype. Broody boyfriend. Oh my god. Like
Yeah.
he is that. But in this version, like even though it's a girl, like who's kind of in control and kind of tough, and like I get that. Like and who mind you, not in control in the sense of like emotionally, but in control in the sense of like is strong and confident. Like I get that, but not in like some sort of cheesy SJW like way, like because it's not actually meant to be that in a way, because it was Edward. Like there's times where the gender bent like doesn't fit, and there's times where it does, in a way that makes it more flavorful as a like story to read, and I think that at least with in a small way, the Ernest being a dude did that, and I like that a lot. Like can we just be honest though? Like I mean, it would be cool like to like see people do stuff that are like a superhuman and they're like inviting you in. But wouldn't you kind of just feel like, I mean, maybe not this first time, but eventually it would just be like I suck. Like I can't do any of the things that you guys are doing. Like why am I here? Like yes, let's go watch you guys have fun. You know what I mean? Like
actually, that's actually a plot point later on.
yeah, I'm sure it actually becomes a thing later on. Like in my version at the end, I think basically the end of the fourth book or whatever it is, like where like Bo, I think spoilers, she eventually becomes a vampire. Like my ending's kind of like is it's more like that. Like it's he becomes powerful, so it's like more satisfying at the end. Like this, but we can discuss that later on. It's
Well, anyway, next time, everybody, it's Chapter 18, The Hunt. So until then, book Blitz.